Hey tasters, it's your girl Franz and welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to my kitchen. And as you can probably tell by the title, we'll be making beignets. These past days, I've been so in love with these beignets and trust me, these are so good. The recipe is super simple to make and requires only a few ingredients and it doesn't take much time except for the rise time. But I assure you, you will love these princess and the frog beignets. Anyways, let's get on to this recipe and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tiana, a young girl, and her father aspires to own a restaurant. When Tiana was young, she aspired to be a cook. Her and her father had the same dream to open a restaurant. It was supposed to be called Tiana's Place. Fast forward to a few years later, her father died. She was still carrying this dream of wanting to make a restaurant. And she worked hard day and night, taking extra shifts just to make extra money. One day when she was working at a cafe, her friend had some great news to tell her. And at that point, her friend decided to pay her money to make beignets. Wanted kind of like this big surprise for Prince Naveen, who was coming to New Orleans. And she asked Tiana to make beignets for her, and she pretty much just took out a bunch of money from her dad's pockets and gave it to Tiana. And yeah, but at the end, she gets her restaurant and everyone lives a happily ever after at the end. If you want to follow along and make these beignets with me, the ingredients will be down below. The first step to making our beignets is to activate our yeast. I'm going to take sugar and pour it into our lukewarm water and then kind of mix that a bit. And then I'm going to pour in our yeast to also activate. You don't want your water to be too cold nor too hot. As I have mentioned in my previous video of making okay to not be okay pizza. Now I'm going to take our yeast, making sure that's kind of blood temperature now, so it's pretty good to add in our yeast already. And then you totally don't need to mix it up, but I like to give it a tiny little stir. And then I'm just gonna set that aside for around 10 minutes to let the yeast foam up. Now I'm going to take our milk, pour that into there, and then I'm going to crack in an egg. I'm first going to crack it into our measuring cup. Oh, just so that we avoid any shells, and then pour it into our milk. And then we are going to mix that up with a fork. You can also use a whisk or anything you would like. I'm just using a fork just so that you can quickly puncture the egg and mix everything together. Don't worry if your yeast doesn't start foaming immediately. You just have to be patient, like don't worry. This is starting to foam up, and while that continues to foam up, I'm going to take half of our flour mixture and pour that into our egg and milk mixture. Okay, now I'm going to start mixing this. Be careful because it can splatter everywhere, so yeah. I'm just gonna let this continue mixing until it's nice and kind of formed into one. And don't worry if you don't get all the flour soaked into that liquid, it's totally fine. Now that our dough is slightly combined, it's not fully combined, I'm going to turn back on our mixer and slowly pour in our yeast mixture. So just be gentle. By the way, I'm only doing half of this recipe because I did pre-make some dough because you will have to let this rise for around 2 hours. Just a quick heads up. I will leave the full and the half recipe down below just in case you don't want to make too big of a batch of beignets. You can totally make a small batch only. Now I'm going to continue mixing this up. Now I'm going to add in our final batch of flour. I'm not fully mixing it because I don't want to over mix it before we add in our final batch of flour because we don't want our dough to be tough. Okay, now I'm gonna add it in. Our dough is now nice and cohesive, and I'm going to take it off our stand mix stand. It's not gonna fall down. Okay, it might fall down. Anyways, now I'm going to take some cling wrap and I'm going to cover our whole entire bowl. You will have to wait for around 1 or 2 hours for this to rise. I'll be working in the end. Now I'm going to put this in the fridge and let it rise for 2 hours, but thank God I already pre-made the dough earlier. So we are going to cook that batch of dough instead. But while I'm heating up my pan, I am going to roll out our dough. I'm going to take some more flour and I half my dough into 2 parts. And I'm going to just dust our surface. Take a rolling pin. I'm just using this fondant roller because it's really nice to roll out and stuff. Now I'm going to start rolling it out. I'm going to start alternating from doing it horizontally. We're almost there. almost there. We're almost done making our beignets. Yeah, we're almost there. And then I'm going to take this knife and cut it into there. That seems pretty, that's good, that's good. Cut that, and then cut that. Now I'm going to flip it down. Don't worry about it seeming small. It will puff up and it will look beautiful. Whoa, it's thick. Very thick. Very fat. Beignets, synonymous with the English fritter, is the French term for a pastry made from deep-fried choux pastry. Beignets might also be made from other types of dough, including yeast dough, which is what we're making today. Beignets are really famous in Disneyland, California, I'm pretty sure. We went to Disneyland Hong Kong once, but we were never able to find it, which I'm pretty sure isn't that surprising. But one day I would love to go to New Orleans to try out the beignets from Café du Monde, because I know for a fact that those are really, really famous. But I would also love to try the ones from Disneyland. Café du Monde, by the way, if you're not already familiar with it, is a famous place in New Orleans that has the so-called best beignets in New Orleans. And look, I made homemade kimchi the other day. If you guys want a recipe about it, you can comment down below and I might make it on the channel. Make sure to also cook your beignets at a low heat because you want your beignets to cook thoroughly. But if you are making smaller beignets than what I am making today, you can just totally make your heat at medium. We are finally done cooking up our beignets. These beignets look so good and bubbly and I'm so excited to try them, and I just really want to pop one into my mouth right now. But I'm going to self-control, and now I'm going to plate them. Okay, tasters, that's my favorite time of the video. Taste test time. I'm going to get the beignet from the very back. Oh my god, it looks so good. You see that? Okay, I'm so excited to try it. Let's take a bite. 3, 2, 1. Wow. My mouth is covered in powdered sugar. This is honestly better than a donut. This is so good. The texture and flavor of this is phenomenal. The texture has like a nice and chewy bite to it, but it's also kind of like a cloud in a way. And the flavor, the buttery dough, it all blends together so perfectly, plus the powdered sugar to top it off. It seems hard to make, but it's actually super easy. It only requires a few ingredients, and the only thing that takes you long is to rise the yeast. But this is so worth it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this to your friends, and comment down below what you think I should make next, and I will try to make it happen. And also follow me on my Instagram and Facebook page at homemadebyfranz. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget, happiness starts in the kitchen. Be positive, share love. Thank you for watching. Luscious taste, homemade by Franz.